They told you running was bad for your knees. But what if the opposite is true? Most veterans I talk to are told, take it easy, especially after you're 35 years old, especially if you have arthritis, that knee OA, knee pain. But I'm here to tell you the truth. Running alone isn't the problem. The way you're approaching the sport of running is. See, I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, physical therapist, exercise physiologist, run coach, and Marine veteran. Over the past 10 years, I've helped hundreds of people, actually, I'm going to say thousands of people now, to be honest, overcome knee pain, run again, and without damaging their joints. This video, I'm going to show you why running isn't bad for your knees, even if you've been told it's high impact, you have arthritis, osteoarthritis, or you think you're just too old. You think you're a grandpa or grandma. So I'm going to give you a game plan that builds your knees capacity so you can run pain-free. So here's what we're going to cover: the arthritis myth and why movement is medicine, what the research actually says about running and knees, how your knees work like a sponge, the step-by-step plan to rebuild your knee strength and get back to running, and a real veteran story, client story, and simple ways to modify your training. So some research: 1 in 3 veterans have arthritis. But studies show that recreational runners, people who just kind of run for fun, for as a hobby, have less arthritis than sedentary people who just sit at a desk all day or sit on a couch and just have very sedentary lives. And only elite level ex-professional athletes, Olympians, had higher arthritis rates because they tend to redline their body and push it to the extremes for like decades. Right. But for the most part, most people aren't doing that. They're not, burning out their body to the extremes, unless I guess you're David Goggins. Much respect to David Goggins. Anyway, it's not running that hurts your knees, though. It's how you're running, right? Or just skipping the training around what your knees actually need. So let's talk about the sponge analogy, how your knee works and the cartilage inside your knee. So your knees have cartilage, right? So you got your knees stacked on top of each other, and that cartilage that's cushioning your joints is like a sponge. When you move, that sponge gets squeezed and soaked, pulling in nutrients and flushing out waste. Cartilage doesn't have blood vessels, though. It depends on movement to stay healthy, right? You bend and straighten your knee, and running done right keeps that sponge functioning. Even better, your knee cartilage has these cells called chondrocytes. They tiny repair cells that get activated when you move your joints, right? If you're just sitting all day, it's not going to get activated, but you start loading it, squats, walking, running, stairs, lunges, it activates these tissues to help strengthen and rebuild the knee joint cartilage. So the reason number one, running is not bad for your knees, it's not because running is dangerous. It's more of a load tolerance issue, load tolerance, that is. The problem isn't the impact alone. See, the problem is most adults aren't active enough to handle that impact, especially, veterans who've been out of the service now for 10, 20 years. They've been working desk jobs. They're having conditioned their body to handle the impact. See, running can put impact on the body, 2 to 3 times your body weight, but your body can adapt to this over time with the proper training. Reason number 2, sedentary lifestyles weakens the knees. See, studies show people who are more active have less knee pain. But sitting, if you're sitting 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and compound that, you're doing it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Imagine what all that sitting has done to your body, made you better at sitting. And then also sitting stiffened up your joints, your tissues around your knee. So now when you get up from that chair, you're like, oh man, moving around like an old man. Those joints all creaky, they feel rusty, the tissues have stiffened up. And just because of a sedentary lifestyle. And the good news is you could offset this. Even if you're 45, 55, you can start to offset this, right? Through exercise. Movement can be medicine. So reason number 3, movement heals if you progress it right. You don't go from a couch to marathon overnight, right? You could, but you're putting yourself at risk of injury. What you want to do is build yourself up, right? Let's say your goal is to run a marathon. Don't go from couch to marathon. Go from couch to running a mile, then couch to 5K, then couch to 10K, then you start progressing, building your way up until you get to the marathon. Don't just jump right to the marathon without doing any of the prep work beforehand, right? You start small, increase gradually, and listen to your body. And over time, you could do amazing things. I mean, you could be an older athlete, a master's level athlete. Heck, you could be 70 years old and still complete a marathon, right? You just have to build your body up to be able to do it. So here's a step-by-step plan to return to running. Step 1, you have to build your base. And a lot of times people think of base as just a running base. No, I'm talking about a strength base. You actually want to start building your strength base in your body, how strong your body is to handle the impact of running. I tell people, hey, can you at least squat your body weight or leg press your body weight and then build up to maybe 1.5 times your body weight, right? So strength exercise I love for the lower body, squat, lunges, deadlift, single leg work like Bulgarian split squats, single leg squat, Nordic curls, reverse Nordic curls. Focus on full body strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Yes, I know there's different ways of strength training. I know people do upper body, lower body splits. They do multiple sets, but for time efficiency, I just recommend single set to fatigue. It's very efficient. You could get it in and out. You get a full body in like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. You don't have to worry about spending hours at the gym, trying to train 6 days a week with strength training. You could get your strength base twice a week, single set to routine, single set to failure, or single set to momentary muscular fatigue, 8 to 12 rep max. Very efficient and effective. Then once you do that, while you're doing that, you should also building up your aerobic base weight walking. So many people try to jump to running and they can't even walk 30 minutes, right? You should be able to walk 30 minutes comfortably, then build up to an hour, right? You should be able to walk 30 minutes to an hour with no minimal pain or no pain and no joint swelling. Like your knees shouldn't be getting aggravated by walking. If it is, that means, hey, you still got to build up your strength base. So keep up with the strength training. And then eventually your knees get so strong, the muscles that support your knee go so strong that you could handle walking. It should be no problem. Because once you do that and walking is easy, minimal pain, you could progress to running. But before you go to straight running, do run walk. Big fan of the run walk method, right? So for example, you may run for 2 minutes, walk for 1 minute. Do that for 15 minutes, and then start progressing. Do the type of workout twice a week to start. And then start making the workout longer. Maybe you do it for 30 minutes. And then maybe you add a third day. So now you're doing it 3 days a week, right? Over time, you build up. And then maybe you make the run interval longer. Maybe doing a 5-minute run, 1 minute walk, right? Keeps going. Maybe do then a 10-minute run, 1 minute walk. And fun fact, you could actually keep with the run walk method even if you're doing a marathon, right? If you're doing a marathon, you could actually complete a full marathon doing run walk method. For example, you may run a mile and then walk, for a minute or two, and then run the next mile, right? So doing it this way, the run walk method, right? You can control your pace, reduce the risk of injury, and help build up your stamina and conditioning without having to be overly exhausted trying to run continuous or nonstop all the time. Yes, after you achieve a certain fitness level, you can run nonstop without taking any walking breaks. But for most people, especially beginners, start with run walk, and then you could transition from one walk to continuous running if you so choose to do so, or even keep up with run walk for the rest of your running if that's what you choose to do as well. And then use symptoms as feedback, or symptoms as pain or discomfort, right? It should be mild pain or no pain, ideally. But even if you have some pain, it's okay to do some running if it's the pain's like less than 3 out of 10 and it doesn't worsen after, right? So maybe you go for your run or your run walk, it goes up to like a 3 out of 10, but immediately after it comes right back down, or at least within the half hour or so, it's no worse. It goes back to your baseline. Maybe your baseline is like a 1 out of 10 or something. Likely safe. You take the next day off or so, next 1 or 2 days off, and you go back. If no worse, staying the same, fine, cool. Keep doing your strength training. Over time, you'll find that as you get stronger and stronger, your body's going to be able to tolerate more and more running, high impact activities, and you actually over time will start to feel less pain. And also, so for some people, it's a very slow process where they kind of hover around a 2 for a long time, like 2 out of 10 pain. But for the most part, if you do this kind of method, most people can do a run walk method without really worsening their pain. And then obviously modify based on your severity. Like if you have very severe pain, like we're talking about 7 out of 10 pain anytime you try to run or jog or walk, then consider cross-training with cycling, right? Just stick with bicycling as your cardio, your aerobic, but still do the strength training, right? Still do the squats. And you have to modify the squats too. Like if you have such severe pain, you might not be able to do a parallel squat or deep squat, but you could do a shallow squat. Do shallow squat or partial squats until you build up your strength. Keep doing that. You could do aqua jogging as well, where you go in a swimming pool. There's like this aqua jogger vest you wear, so you could kind of jog in the swimming pool. Or like I also mentioned, bicycling. And you know, bicycling may hurt a bit as well, but oftentimes it's much less impact than running. And most people can tolerate biking more than they can do running, especially if you have more moderate to severe symptoms. And then obviously there's some cases, it does happen where it's so severe that they should consult with an orthopedic surgeon. If that's the case, of course, consult with your doctor. For those people, yes, surgery can work. I do want to put a caveat. 1 in 3 knee surgeries are unnecessary, especially with total knee replacement surgery. So always get like a second opinion. Make sure that you really need the surgery before you jump into the knee surgery. And also exhaust your conservative options, right? Already make sure you've already tried physical therapy for at least 3 months, right? 2 to 3 months before jumping into knee surgery, unless you have like some major traumatic thing or you need to get the surgery ASAP, like you're like in a car accident or something. But that being said, again, most people are not in these big, very severe cases or traumatic cases. If you're in more mild to moderate stages, oftentimes you could get by with the strategies I shared. So run walk isn't a cop out. It's a performance strategy. And often the best way forward for veterans, older veterans, right, 35 plus with arthritis or chronic knee issues to be able to safely do running with the run walk method. So what type of supporting exercises should you do in your training, right? Dynamic warm-ups right before you go for your run. So, example, leg swings, walking quad stretch, walking hamstring stretch, A skips, B skips, barefoot, walking forward, walking backwards, barefoot, even short strides with barefoot, because it actually helps retrain your stride or biomechanics, which can help as well. And then during your training week, how should you schedule it, right? So aerobic training, maybe 3 days a week, run, ruck, swim, cycle, elliptical, row, whatever your cardio of choice is. If you want to run, you can run. But if it's too much on your body, do run walk. And oftentimes most people could do run walk. If you really can't run walk at all, then do cycling. Strength training, you should strength train 2 to 3 times a week. Again, squats, deadlifts, lunges, Nordic curls. Core strengthening. Core is also very important. I tell people just combine it with the strength workout so you don't have the separate day for core. So you could do the core strengthening twice a week as well. So core with the strength work that I mentioned previously, but core work could be planks, side planks, bridges, crunches, reverse crunches, decline sit-ups. So many different options for core. Obviously, if you have pain with any of these things, you're unsure, consult with a physical therapist, a movement professional who could help you out, especially if you're experiencing severe pain that's really limiting you or impacting your quality of life. And then plyometrics, things like box jumps, hopping, weighted squat jumps. Let's start maybe like just 2 or 3 reps at a time, maybe 3 or 5 sets. So for example, box jump routine might be 3 sets of 3 reps of box jumps or drop jumps. Again, there's different jumping type workouts. You could add these power or jumping workouts to your strength workout, or you could do these jump workouts to the end of your run, right? So you may run and up at a park, maybe has a bench. Maybe you jump up onto the picnic bench or the bench table, or whatever, as your box jump. So there's different ways to program it. So hopefully that was useful there or helpful for you. So I'm going to share a story. I often work with all sorts of people, and I do have veterans who come in who are oftentimes scared of high impact training like running because their doctor told you, hey, my doctor told me that I have knee arthritis and I should never run again because running is dangerous for the knees. It's going to eat the knees away. But when we start the strength work, I tell them, hey, we could do the physical therapy, do the strength work, gradual strength work, progress to walk and then to short hops and then run walk. They're often shocked that they actually move with minimal pain. Like, whoa, they're surprised. Like, there's a Marine veteran who hadn't run in 10 plus years. We helped build him up slowly. He was dealing with this knee pain. He was trying to get injections all the time, cortisone to help with the knee pain, but he was afraid of going back to running because every time he tried it, it would just flare him up. But now he's able to run 5Ks. We're doing a run-walk method without any flare-ups of the knee, without having to take cortisone injections. It's not magic. It's just a small progression base of strength training, a strength training base, and then doing the run-walk method. And then he was able to get back to running 5Ks. So if you want a clear plan to run pain-free, even if you got bad knees, check out my free training, link in the description. And if you got any pain and want to run again, right, comment below and, if any questions you may have, I'll share my tips for you or share your own story. I also read every comment.